What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Mondays. Just a reminder, we are not medical professionals. We are just regular Joes who are sharing our stories and that of our community. We really hope that we can help others not feel alone. If you're having any problems and need any help, please either dial 988 or seek medical help as soon as possible. And remember, please be well and remember that people love you as well. Today, we are tackling the big one, social anxiety with respect to Bladeshow.
Yes, we figured a lot of people are about to venture out into a giant group of people into a small space.
Yes.
So who better to talk about that than our boy Stevie?
There you go. Yeah. Stevie.
There are a lot of people there. That's one thing. I don't know what the count is. Like I've never seen like the official stats of how many people come through there, but it's a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people.
So, I
no,
was gonna say. So last year, I went to Bladeshow, and we had COVID before that, so I hadn't dealt with people in a long time.
Yeah.
And then I met these strangers for the first time, and they were like, "Get in my truck, let's drive across the country." So I was like, "Here's my bag, let's go." Then when we got there, I was basically Stevie's shadow the entire time. Like everywhere he went, I was like, "Ooh, here we go." Stevie will do all the talking for me, and I'll just be like, "Hey." And so we wanted to film this to kind of help you guys deal with that and hopefully initiate conversations more, because I missed out on a lot of awesome conversations because I just didn't want to talk to people. And
it's a challenging thing, man.
it is. Oh, I don't like talking to people. But then you have people like Stevie who will just talk to anybody.
I'm prepared for something like this in the sense that it's my job to talk to strangers. So that being said, it doesn't mean I don't get anxiety while I'm doing it though. One of the things that one of my credos, I think, for most part of my life, I don't know how I came up with this. I don't know that it's an original thought, but at an early age, I decided that I wanted to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so it's not that, I can talk to people and I can be in a room full of strangers and try to carry on a conversation, no problem. It doesn't mean I'm always comfortable doing it, though.
Yeah.
What I've learned more than anything, and I think that, I guess if there's my secret that I've learned is everybody's a little uncomfortable. Everybody is. And Maddie, I think you definitely eased into it though after the first day. Come the second day and third day, I mean, you had no problem walking up to David C. Anderson and striking up conversation in the Chick-fil-A line.
That's true. I just wanted to check his pockets.
Out of Bladeshow and like Knife World context, that just sounds so funny. Yo, dude, let me check your pockets.
Right. But yeah, I think you realize that most people there. I think the problem is when you don't have someone in the group that can start the conversation, you can get that awkwardness of a bunch of people standing around wanting to talk but not wanting to start the conversation right. I guess if I could give any advice is realize that in regards to Bladeshow specifically, these people better than you think you do. You might just be seeing them in person in the physical form for the first time, but you already know these people. And I think what we're learning more and more and more through Mental Health Monday and just through all the lives is we all have so much in common,
True.
really, that it's okay to be awkward. It's okay to be awkward. You just got to, and look, I guess I'm coming from the place of where I can push myself, and I'm okay
Mhm.
with that. I realize that might not be a thing for some people though, as well. So, I guess what can you do? I guess more than anything, just I think going back a little bit is knowing that the people that you're gonna be talking to are probably a little uncomfortable as well, and misery loves company, right?
This is
And
true.
you're not gonna do anything that's gonna completely embarrass yourself. You might have a little bit of an awkward start to a conversation, but it'll even out. It's
And
I
even if
guess it's
you do embarrass yourself, it's going to be a funny story down the
right,
road.
right.
It's not like the end of the world.
So, God, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, my bad.
No, 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 no. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I think that just going with the flow. Don't overthink it. And I mean, this can apply to pretty much any situation, not just Bladeshow, but realize you probably think it's a way bigger deal than anyone else,
Hmm.
Yep.
and again, sure, like Sharif said, you might embarrass yourself. You might say something weird and awkward at first, and people are going to give you shit about it. But again, me maybe it's a little bit easier for me also being that I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable. uh I also don't mind being the butt of a good joke.
Yeah.
So uh just try not to overthink it. It's not that serious, but again, I think that there's also a good, if you do start to get over anxious about it, you start getting anxiety, just take a step back, man.
True.
Don't let it ruin the moment.
Yeah.
There's bathrooms all throughout. There's foyers. There are quiet places that you can kind of sneak off to. Just and I did that. I don't know, 4 or 5, 6, 7 different times throughout the day, where you
Hmm.
do
I
just
I
have to
did it
take a
too.
step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
know,
This is where being a smoker is a good thing. It almost has that inherent built in, I need to take a break from this environment built into it.
sure,
You know, that non-smokers don't even think about, but it's such a healthy thing to like take a break, reset, and then re-engage. You
yeah.
know,
If you think that it's getting to be too much, don't let that ruin your experience.
yeah,
Take a step back. And again, you know what you're going to find. You're going to find someone else that's doing the exact same thing.
Yep.
Because
yep,
again, you're not the only one there that's going to be struggling with this a little bit. So you'll see a couple of other people, and then you start talking to that person. You know,
dude.
This is
uh,
true.
so I think that um, it's going to be, again. I don't want to downplay it. If you're not used to large crowds, it's going to be a little overwhelming at first, especially on the first day, the most
Hmm.
exciting of the days. A lot of people, you walk in, when we showed up, just seeing the line,
Oh,
like, oh boy, this is going to be big.
I started
Hmm.
feeling
Uh,
it then.
yeah. Or even like when we showed up for the early access and just seeing all the people that were in the normal line and then seeing the people that were in the early access line and like,
It was just
okay,
as long as the other line.
right. So yeah, it is going to be, and I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but yeah, you're going to a very large gathering for sure.
Hmm.
I don't think you're freaking
Um,
people out. Well, you might be, but I think it's good to be prepared for that.
yeah,
Because,
Yeah,
like, I went to Bladeshow West, and it was much smaller. So I went to this one thinking, oh, not that bad. And then you get there, and you're like, oh, Bladeshow West is little guy.
It's 3 times the size. I mean, not only is it just the venue that much larger, I mean, the small room of Blade Show East is probably as big as the main room, the only room of Blade West,
It is.
easily.
Yeah.
So and then you have the main room that is 4 or 5 times as big as the small room.
And you're going to be shuffling around people constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And with anxiety, little things will turn into big things like they do for me. And so what you said about taking the break, that's good advice because I did that. And you know what? That allowed me to have good conversations with like Jason Brown.
Right.
He joined us and we just sat there and hung out. So, I mean, they're good opportunities to get away from the crowd, but also still maintain a little bit of conversation.
Right.
It's good.
I was gonna say, like, for me, like, I've been to a lot of trade shows. I've been to a lot of like big public scale events as well. One of the things that always helps me going in has been to have a focus of where I want to go, right? Like, yeah, I'll be sitting in line and I'll be kind of going through my head, like, oh, okay, I want to make sure I hit this booth. I want to see these people. I want to do this.
Yep.
I want to do that. And it takes my mind out of being in a swarm of people, you know? And it even allows me to put kind of like horse blinders on and just say, like, okay, I just need to navigate this space and get to this location. And that allows me to kind of like tune out all the other stimuli, you know?
That's exactly what we did last year. Stevie was like, step
Yeah.
1, artisan, valor, boom. So
Yeah.
that's what we did. We went up the escalator, got up to there, went to artisan, but we stopped at the Koenig just to see all the
just to see
areas just disappear so fast. And then we went there,
Yeah.
and that began my first conversation with
Dylan.
Yeah, it was Dylan, and then I forgot the other guy's name.
Nico.
But yeah, him. And he pulled
Nico.
out the custom Ferrum Forge.
Yeah, he had his Geiger Archbishop.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, if you do have anxiety like me, it's good to go to those outside booths.
Mhm.
That way you don't start in the big crowd.
That's true.
Because
Yeah.
Demco filled up and Arius filled up, Microtech filled up because we had to go there for Jake.
Right. Well, you walk in and you got Hinderer right there, and that's where everyone's buzzing. And then
Yeah.
you get a little bit further inwards, and you have Wee, who's got the big booth, and everyone's, Sencut, CVV, Wee's got the big booth.
Yeah.
And everyone's, hovering and buzzing around that. Take a left or a right when you get in there.
Yeah.
Do a perimeter. And, so to Sharif's point and to Maddie's point, I think have a little bit of a game plan.
Mhm.
Bladeshow's got their, if you go to bladeshow.com, they have the exhibitors list, and then they have a map.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they'll hand them out. They'll have them when you go to pick up your tickets. They'll have like a program guide with all that in one, like a trifold.
Yeah.
The exhibitors, and then they'll be listed in the map of it. But I'd say try to pick a couple to focus on. Also, don't think you're going to do the entire thing, or else you're going to be busy. You're not going to have time for any socializing to hit every single thing.
There's too much.
There's too much.
You could spend a whole day just on the smaller booths in the main room.
Right.
But that might be a thing. If you have large anxiety, maybe don't start in the big room. Go to the little room first.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone's going to the big room because they want to hit Microtech and the Koenig and Demco. I mean, all those are going to be popular again this year. hit the little room first. There's good stuff in there, like the Tactical Everyday Dad. He's
Yeah.
fun to chat with.
Yeah, Anthony's cool.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of the cool smaller brands are definitely in the small side.
Yep.
And that's where I'm going to be spending a lot of my time.
A lot of people like EFP-EDC. He's in the little room.
No, I think he stepped up. I think
did
he's
he?
in the big room now. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And on this note, I want to throw something out there too. Like, some people have different kinds of anxiety. You may be all right with the crowd, but you may get nervous talking to somebody whom you've idolized, or somebody you've seen on YouTube or whatever, and you may just kind of get flustered with what to say to that person at any point in time. One of the things that always helped me in like professional environments, especially to talking to people way above my status, was to remember, dude, they woke up and they did the same thing you did that morning, right? They woke up, they scratched what itched, they hopped in the shower, they used the toilet. They didn't have some magical fairies come out of, the window, dress them as they floated down the hallway. Like,
If
these
only.
people are not ethereal beings, they're not magical or special. They're human beings just like you,
Just normal folks, dude.
Exactly.
Normal folks.
I think what helped me in that situation, because I only had like 400 subs back then, but people would be like, "Hey, Matisfaction, I love your son."
I love your son.
So we got to talk about Eli a lot.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, just like we all of us have just said, like, everybody is a regular human being, and if they're not willing to talk to you like a normal human being, then they're not worth your time, right?
Yeah, they're assholes anyway.
Exactly.
But then there is also the never meet your idols. Don't let yourself be let down though either. Some people, I guess, also remember in that sense that a lot of these makers, like if you're going there to like talk to a maker, they're working too, and it is
That's
busy.
true. Yes.
And
this
if
is
they
work.
have a conversation with every single person, they can't.
Yeah.
So don't feel like they're just blowing you off. Don't let that
be succinct.
Yes.
Be direct.
Yeah.
If you just want to tell them that you appreciate their stuff, you don't have to go through their entire resume. Just be like, yo, let's say you talk to, Truzola, Shirogorov, whoever. You're just like, yo, dude, just want to come by, say I love your work. It really impacted me. Have a great show, and move on, because that's time for them to sell. That's time for them to make their nut.
That's what Stevie did with Mr. Vox, and he had a nice conversation with him after that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Check out his picture.
Yeah.
And then bought a knife.
And then, actually bought my Nazca from Jesper. But yeah, I didn't, and so that was one where I fanned out a little bit. And I didn't want to have a forced conversation with him, but like I definitely hovered. Like he was there, and there was someone else from Denmark there. Like they were talking, in their native tongue to one another, having like a big conversation, and I'm just kind of standing there, like, and like he saw me, and then of course, and I don't know if I talked about this a lot. I was like, "Hey, Jens, nice to meet you." And he's like, "Jesper." And I was like, "I know. I can't believe I just called you." So,
at that moment, would cause somebody like me to be like, "Oh no,
I just keep going.
I just screwed up. I'm gonna leave now."
You know what? They both get that all the time, I'm sure.
Right?
That's what you have to realize. And
sometimes it's hard to move past those little.
Yeah, it is.
Hey,
It
Jens,
is.
it's Jesper. Okay, see you later.
I'm gonna die now. I'm just gonna go over there and waste away to nothingness.
Yeah.
No, I guess that's where my coping comes in. Is let's just not acknowledge it. Let's just
Yeah.
finish the conversation. Let me get through the couple of things I have to say, and then laugh about it if need be.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Now it's a funny
Perfect.
story.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Right.
This
So,
is perfect advice for people like me to hear.
yeah.
It's but again, it comes back to and maybe practicing this stuff at Bladeshow for the first time is not, real practical. But again, I do think the uh, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable can go a long way. And I don't know how to
Absolutely.
tell you how to start doing that. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. I don't know that I have any words of wisdom to how I got comfortable with that. But just know at the end of the day, I mean, you might get back to the hotel or whatever and be like, God, I can't believe I did that, or I didn't do this, or I should have done that. But here's the thing, and again, it applies to a lot of other aspects of life. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's really not.
At the end of
We're
the day,
the,
it's not.
we're the ones making the bigger deal about it on ourselves
Yep.
than
True.
anything.
And
Everyone's going to be way more critical on themselves than really other people are. I mean, just take it to just the YouTube thing.
yeah.
How many people do you talk to, myself included, probably Maddie, Sharif, going, ugh, I wouldn't watch my content. It sucks. Like, I can't believe
Exactly.
and then other people are like, shut up, dude. It's not as bad as you think it is,
Yeah.
So everyone's always going to be a little bit harder on themselves than other people are.
That's what
So
they say. You're
And the
you're
thing
your own
that you,
worst critic.
yeah,
yeah.
you're your own worst critic for sure.
And the thing
But
you were critical about yourself a year ago, do you remember it? 2 years ago, do you remember it still? You don't.
oh,
Like it's just an in the moment thing, you know?
right,
So like go out there, have fun, and don't be a, you know, here's a good piece of advice. Be a goldfish. Have a 10-second memory, you know?
Hmm?
Like just go out there, have a good time, and like if you do something that you feel embarrassed about or you feel awkward about or whatever, be a goldfish. Just be like, you know what, in 10 seconds this isn't going to matter. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to hold this against me. You know what I mean? Like,
It's good advice.
yeah.
And I
Thanks
was
to
gonna
Ted
say,
Lasso, the TV show, for that advice.
I was gonna say for Stevie's be uncomfortable with or being comfortable with uncomfortable is one thing I do is just get out there and get it done.
Yeah.
Like for lives, I'll usually just hang out with you guys for a while and just chat before we ever record or live,
Mhm.
and that helps. And that I think is gonna be because a lot of these guys are meeting at a house together
Yeah.
and they're gonna just hang out in a small group at first, and you've already been chatting on Instagram,
right,
and that's gonna help you ease into it.
Yeah.
And then
Pre-game.
it's not healthy to be fully dependent on someone, but in a moment of panic at like Bladeshow, you
Yeah.
can cling to someone like I did to Stevie last year. I was like, hey, I'm your shadow right now.
definitely. If you have the ability to work in the buddy system, there's always strength in numbers, man. It's never
Yeah.
going to feel as bad. And we all have the ability to network. Anyone that's watching this, we all talk to each other in some form of another.
It's true.
Whether maybe you're not on social media, but we all got either an email or a text number. We know how to get a hold of one another. If you are going, try to link up with someone.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Even if you two are meeting up for the first time, have your small little interaction and then enter in together. And it's
Totally.
not going to be nearly as daunting.
Yeah.
It helps when you just hang out before you do anything. That's
Yep.
why we do the chat before we go live. It
Right.
helps me. And then by the time you push, start live, you've already been chatting, you've already been hanging out. It's just a natural progression.
Yeah.
Now
And I
there's
think
people
I,
listening.
th- I think the nice thing about this, also specific to Blade Show, is it's one thing if you're showing up and you've never talked to anyone. Like if I were to go to a comic book convention for the first time, oh, I don't know anyone else going there, so it's a different thing. You're going to a convention where everyone in the community that you probably talk to, you've talked to at some point in time. So you might not have met each other in person, but you've talked to these people, and it's not the same. When you've had interactions with someone in the chat before, it's like you kind of know them already.
Yeah.
So I think, even if you are the type that gets anxiety just going to the mall or the grocery store, or you're around strangers, know that we're not as strange as you think we are,
Yeah.
being that we have had that at least online interaction.
This
That's
is very
true.
true.
I gotta say, everyone that I've met so far, from just at one point we were all just people in the chat, you know,
Yeah.
just chatting, and then you progress in your level of talking. But everyone that I've ever met up with in person, you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You know, uh,
That's true.
I mean, shit, Nuz. Me and Nuz had talked, a handful of times before showing up with each other. Instantly, we were, you know, for the first time walking in to the hotel or the hostel that we were staying at. You just picked right up, and it's like there
Yeah.
was no awkward, first encounters.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, I mean, shoot, same thing when we showed up on your doorstep the next day, and you're just like, "Hey, come on in, man," And there was no, at least on my part, there was no weird awkwardness. Uh, So, and then the same when we met up with Jake.
Oh yeah,
When we met up with Mateo, when we just hit the ground running.
that's true. I
So
hadn't considered that, but
because
we
we
really did.
have because we have had, it's not like you're meeting a complete stranger for the first time.
Oh, these are
Yeah.
people you've already formed memories with, and
Yeah,
inside jokes, and
right.
yeah, that's true.
So hopefully, if you're watching this and you're going, you can try to pull some from some of that. So it's just not, because again, this should be fun.
Yeah.
Don't let this torture you. This
Oh
because
God. Yeah.
and you know what? I think that once you get there, you're gonna realize all this. You know these people more than you think you do. And the first time you talk to someone easily like that, it's gonna get easier and easier. But again, Maddie, I think you, at least from my perspective, you definitely come, second, third day were, I think, much more social than you were.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, but I remember what I was going to talk about earlier, and I lost my train of thought. One aspect that we aren't talking about is where I think maybe the anxiety can get a little bit more is the pit.
Oh
that,
yeah.
that
You
was
know,
hard. I ended up sitting on a stage for a while.
right,
It was
right.
that's even all the Blade Show people in a smaller space.
Small area, and people are boozing.
Yeah,
People are getting a little bit louder. Uh,
people
but
getting nut tapped.
yes, yes,
Can I admit something, you guys? Like, since it's gonna be my first time there, I'm nervous about how to navigate it all because everybody's going to be in their little like sub cliques, and I consider myself very lucky to have met and talked and formed relationships with like a number of people, and it just, I know I'm going to be a little stressed because I'm going to want to chat with this person for a little while, go and talk to this group and move over to this group, but also meet new people, you
Mhm.
know, and like the pit seems daunting, man. Like it's big, you know.
Uh, I mean, it's definitely kind of like a nightclub type experience.
Right.
And so now you're just mingling,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
and that's all it is. It's a big, huge area, but it's just pockets of, you know, 5, 6 people, 3, 4 people,
That's what I
2,
mean
3
though. It's
people.
like it's a
And you
lot of ground to cover
yeah.
if you're going to talk to
Uh
a number of people.
and the first night I really just wasn't into it. And so I just I didn't enjoy it the first night. The second night I had a lot more fun.
Mm,
And again, that's just where again you run into one person and then oh hey dude, this guy's over here and then you literally just end up, bouncing
yeah.
around. Or not. Or you may find yourself just standing there talking to the same 5 or 6 people as much as you want to get around. You
Yeah.
might end up just talking to the same 5 or 6 people.
I ended up hanging on the stage, but I like to people watch. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
would watch people bounce between I would watch Stevie. Like he would be here, then all of a sudden he's across the room. Yeah.
But you had someone correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Mr. and Mrs. Freak Show
Yep.
were like hanging out doing this kind of the same thing with you the whole time, right?
Yes, because we both
Freak
had sciatic problems too.
Right, right.
And we both, or all three of us, didn't really want to mingle at the time. So we kind of chatted with each other. So Freak Show, he just opened up his case and showed me all
Decent.
his cool knives. And Miss Freak Show was awesome.
Yeah, Chrissy's awesome. Chrissy and
Yeah.
Jeremy are an awesome
Both of them
couple.
are awesome people.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna definitely have to hook up with some people with fellow people with sciatic problems, lower back pain and stuff.
Well, that stool I show everybody, that came in handy a lot.
Uh,
Yeah.
I guess low key stuff. One thing to help take away from that, bring comfy shoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't do that last year. I'm getting new shoes this year.
Right
That
there.
was one of the things that was on my mind actually the whole time I was there is uh, being my feet were uncomfortable, and
Hmm.
so then you do want to. I don't know. It just adds another level. So if you're a
Yeah.
little bit more comfortable, for sure, that's going to be helpful.
That little baseline agitation can peak
Hmm.
your anxiety
Yeah.
if you're mad about your feet.
Right.
I
And
wore
that,
comfy shoes though.
but that's the truth. That's another thing a lot of people don't talk about is like when you go to these large scale events and you're on your feet the whole day, man, that wears on you and it
Yep.
may make you edgier. It may make you a little bit more uncomfortable, you
And
know.
you're doing it for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So definitely pace yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Agreed.
Don't
And
see everything in one day. That might ease
no,
anxiety too. Everyone wants
no.
to, go see everything. Take
Yeah.
your time. That's
Yep.
we discovered that while we were there.
Right.
You're not gonna see everything in one day. It's too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. I mean, the second and third days were way easier than the first day.
Mm.
I mean, the second day, we were like, let's not even bother getting there right away. We'll mosey in when we're ready to mosey in.
Yep. Took our
Uh,
time eating breakfast.
yeah.
That's a question for you guys, right? If you want to not be part of that initial line rush, right? Like, how long does it take for them to process the line on the first day?
Once they open the
Well,
doors, people literally run.
Yeah.
You
so
get in quick.
I mean, I can't really speak for the first day because we were early access.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You stood in line for a long time, but then once you're in, and then they open up the main line. I would say if you show up, a half hour, 40 minutes to an hour after it's actually opened, after the main entry,
Yeah.
not early access, but main access is opened, you're going to be able to just walk right in.
Yep.
That's gonna be this guy.
That's going to be this guy. I have,
But that,
if there's nothing, I mean, look, if you're going there you got to get your hands on something. Hopefully you got the early bird pass. Like, I mean, if you're going there to get one of the exclusive Ariuses or
Yeah.
a Rosie, or I mean, I don't know what else, whatever popular shit there is.
Microtech does 100 of their.
Right.
Oh,
Then you're going to want to be there as early as possible. Or if you are into the Bally songs,
Okay.
and you're going to be, Squid Industries has all the early birds are all, I'd say 70% Bali kids.
Oh wow.
But oh yeah, that's one thing that people don't realize until you get to a Blade show, is that there are way more Bali enthusiasts out there than you realized.
Yes.
Like,
Really?
it's a good third of the show on its own.
Jesus.
On its own,
Yeah.
easily. Just a bunch of kids. You'll hear it the entire time.
Just clack, 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 clack,
Yep.
clack, 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 clack.
The entire time, and you'll see all the kids out in the lobby working on their tricks and everything.
Dang.
But
Okay.
But if you're not there, if you're there just to take a look around, you don't have necessarily a shopping agenda.
Yeah.
Don't. There's no need to get there right away. There's no need to get there right away.
That's great advice, because like I think there's a lot of social pressure to like be there, when things open. But Maddie and I were talking, before we went live here, and I was saying, man, I'm starting to think less about going there for a shopping spree and much more there for the social aspect. And if I'm going there for the social aspect, dude, I'll wake up, I'll try to meet up with you, I'll have a nice
Yeah.
breakfast,
Mhm.
and then cruise in there when I cruise in there. It doesn't
Yep.
I'm not rushing to go spend money, like that's not my goal.
But yeah, just take it slow. Just take it easy.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And then again, remembering to take a break when you need to take a break.
Yes.
I think that's a big one.
I utilized a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I did too. I mean, and there were times where, I mean, like we took breaks from each other sometimes
Mhm.
too. Like I literally like, all right, guys, I'll be back. No, I'm going off on my own just to get away.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
need to do it.
that's excellent advice too, right? Like sometimes going and being on your own, even if you've got like a group of people that you're there with, is good advice. It helps you again reset and recharge.
And I mean, at least the folks that I hang with, everyone completely understands too. So
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
you're being rude, by doing it. Like, nah, man, I just need 5.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I've done it. I took
Mhm.
my stool, sat up in a corner somewhere, and took 5 by myself.
Yeah.
Yep.
You do what you got to do.
I think that's excellent advice, especially for people with social anxiety, wanting to like kind of have the safety of a group and things like that. It's okay to recharge. You can, text people, say, "Oh, hey, I'll meet you over at this booth or whatever." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't ignore your needs also out of like a desire to kind of keep up with people and things
Yeah.
like that. I think that's a very good perspective.
Yeah. Well, I hope this helps some people out there. I wish I had this advice last year. I used some of it, but I wish I had all of this advice last year.
We completely freeballed last year. We didn't know what we were doing.
No,
We didn't know what we were doing.
we went in, pew pews blazing,
Yep.
and maybe that was best for me. But at least, hopefully, this will help people prepare.
Yeah. And I mean, as always, if you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out by any means. And a lot of people already have, for sure. With little, I fielded probably a dozen or so Bladeshow questions. I'm not an expert by any means. I've just been before, So
That makes you an expert.
I guess.
Well, Sharif, you want to
Cool.
wind us out?
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us, Stevie. We super appreciate it, dude. You gave some really good perspective and advice,
You did.
Sure. Well, you're welcome. And yeah, I appreciate being on for sure.
100%. 100%. And remember, guys, we are not medical professionals. We're just trying to share some stories and advice with you all and this wonderful, flourishing knife community that we're all a part of. And remember, if you guys need any help, dial 988 or seek, medical assistance as soon as possible. Remember that we love you. People love you. There's love out there for you. So don't forget that. And for those of us who are going, we hope to see you at Bladeshow.
Definitely.